You've complained about a boring Sunday. Now imagine that Sunday lasting 4 months in the dark with no Wi-Fi, no snacks, and a genuine chance you might freeze to death. That was just called winter. For most of human history, winter wasn't a season. It was a survival test with a start date and no clear end date. Let's start with the obvious problem: cold. Early humans didn't have heaters, so they leaned hard on shelter and fire. Caves, rock overhangs, and tightly packed huts trapped whatever warmth a fire could produce. Groups slept huddled together because shared body heat is basically free insulation. Fires were kept going in shifts, someone always awake to feed the flames because letting it die out overnight wasn't just uncomfortable, it could be fatal. Then there was food. You can't exactly forage in 3 feet of snow, so ancient humans got surprisingly strategic. They dried meat, smoked fish, buried root vegetables in cool storage pits, and rationed supplies carefully enough to stretch through months with almost no fresh food coming in. Miscalculate that math, and you had a very bad spring. Here's the part people don't expect, though. Surviving the cold and the hunger wasn't actually the hardest part. The hardest part was the sheer, crushing boredom. Picture this: you're stuck inside a small shelter with the same 6 people for months with limited daylight, limited food, and absolutely nothing streaming. Tensions do not simmer, they erupt. Anthropologists studying isolated groups in extreme environments today, including polar researchers, describe something called winter over syndrome, a real, documented pattern of irritability, sleep disruption, and interpersonal friction that shows up during long stretches of darkness and confinement. There's no reason to think ancient humans were immune to any of that. If anything, they likely invented it. So what did they actually do with all that trapped time? Turns out, quite a lot. Winter downtime wasn't just about waiting things out, it was also, apparently, prime maintenance season. Tools got repaired, hides got scraped, stretched, and turned into new clothing. Weapons got resharpened and rebalanced. Archaeological sites show a noticeable seasonal pattern in tool production, with certain intensive crafting activities clustering during colder months when hunting and travel slowed down, but hands still needed something to do. Archaeologists have found ancient carved bones with tally marks scratched into them, some dating back tens of thousands of years. One famous example, the Ashango bone, found near the Nile, is covered in notched groupings that many researchers believe represent an early counting or calendar system, which means somewhere, a bored ancient human may have been the world's first person to invent a to-do list. There's also strong evidence of early game playing. Small carved bones called astragali, essentially ancient dice made from animal ankle bones, have been found at prehistoric sites across multiple continents. Turns out, humans have wanted to gamble with friends for a genuinely absurd length of time. Winter downtime is also linked to something bigger. Some researchers believe long stretches of forced indoor time may have pushed early humans toward more advanced tool-making and artistic work, since there was nothing else to do except sit there and get creative. Cave paintings, carved figurines, early jewelry made from shells and bone, a lot of it likely happened during exactly this kind of seasonal lockdown. And then, of course, there was storytelling. No books, no fire-lit Netflix, just one person with a decent voice and a captive audience who had genuinely nowhere else to be. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have noticed something interesting. Nighttime conversation, especially in winter, skews heavily toward myths, legends, and moral stories, far more than daytime conversation does, which suggests storytelling wasn't just entertainment. It was how culture, history, and social rules got passed down before anyone could write any of it. There's also music. Some of the oldest known musical instruments ever discovered are carved bone flutes found in caves in what's now Germany, dating back roughly 40,000 years. Carving a working flute out of a bird bone or mammoth ivory takes patience, quiet, and a lot of uninterrupted time. Exactly the kind of thing you'd only get around to finishing during a long, dark, snowed-in month with absolutely nowhere to be. And it wasn't just the adults staying busy, children needed occupying too, and evidence suggests winter downtime doubled as an unofficial classroom. Tool-making scraps found near hearths hint at younger, less skilled hands practicing alongside adults, learning by imitation during the exact stretch of the year when there was time to actually teach. So, in a strange way, boredom might be one of the most productive forces in early human history. Trapped, cold, and understimulated, ancient humans didn't just wait winter out. They counted, gambled, carved, painted, mended, and told each other stories good enough to survive being repeated for thousands of years. Here's a strange modern echo of all this. Researchers have long studied seasonal affective disorder, a pattern of low mood and low energy tied specifically to shorter, darker winter days. Some scientists think this response isn't a modern glitch at all. It may be a leftover survival setting, a body naturally slowing down, conserving energy, and turning inward exactly the way it would have needed to during a real ancient winter with limited food and constant cold. Your bad mood in February might just be very old software running on modern hardware. It's worth noting this wasn't universal either. Groups living closer to the equator dealt with a very different version of long seasons stuck indoors, driven by monsoons or extended dry spells rather than snow and freezing temperatures. The specifics changed by region, but the underlying pattern didn't. Wherever humans got stuck indoors for months at a time, the same toolkit of counting, crafting, storytelling, and music seems to show up again and again. Meanwhile, this year, you'll get through a boring Sunday afternoon by scrolling through the same 4 apps for 2 hours straight. Your ancestors survived 4 months of actual darkness and invented counting, art, and storytelling to cope. Try not to feel too outperformed. If you have enjoyed the video, subscribe for more.